Hello and welcome to this edition of Joy in Our Town. I'm Ann Farrell Tatey, your host, and we have a full program today. The first segment, we're going to be talking to Miguel Ascarones. He's with the Broward County Emergency Management Agency. And then later in the program, we're going to be talking to a representative from the Jesus Experience Ministries. So first up, we have Miguel Ascarones. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Sure, thank you.
Okay, so the Broward County Emergency Management Agency. Can you talk a little bit about what that is and how you interact with other agencies that provide emergency care?
Sure. On behalf of the Broward County Board of County Commission, the Broward Emergency Management Agency provides leadership and coordination to plan and prepare for all hazards. And we do that with the whole community. That's a term that our federal agency also uses, the whole community, which includes the public, of course, and also governmental entities. We have our various county departments and divisions and offices that we coordinate emergency response and planning with, as well as external agencies such as the American Red Cross. And I have one of their bags here. We'll get into that, I'm sure, hopefully, if we have time. But we also have Florida Empowering Light that assists us and the Emergency Management Agency when we have power outages. So again, we do plan for all hazards. We've seen just in this winter period the impacts or the effects of the El Nino weather pattern in South Florida with, so far we've already had 2 EF1, that's an enhanced Fujita scale tornadoes, tornadic activity, and a lot of severe weather that we're seeing throughout the winter period here and throughout the country for that matter. But we also, in addition to natural hazards, we plan and prepare for those types of events that we don't like to talk about, whether it's terrorism, airplane crashes, hazardous materials spills, and we work in coordination to plan and train with our first responders. That includes the various fire rescue agencies throughout the county and our law enforcement agencies. We also in Broward County have 31 municipalities, so there are partners when it comes to planning, training, and exercising for these various hazards that we all face together. So it's important that we do this also with the other levels of government. At the federal level, the president has FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency. At the state level, the governor has his Florida Division of Emergency Management. And so we all collaborate, coordinate together in the event Broward County needs additional resources. We would make those requests through our mayor and county administrator up to the state, to the governor's office. And if the state needed additional resources for, let's say, a major hurricane event, then we would coordinate that with FEMA and the Department of Homeland Security. So it's a big
That's
responsibility.
But
it's important that the public know that there are partners.
Right.
If they're not prepared, then it creates additional burdens on our first responders to be able to get to them if they're trapped in their homes, for example, as we saw during other natural hazards, catastrophic events such as Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans and Superstorm Sandy in the Northeast. So we want to become a resilient Broward County, and we do that in partnership with all those agencies and the public.
So a lot of your time actually is probably doing these training and these, working together with these other agencies. Is there a lead agency that sort of coordinates everything, or how does all that work? Like, who's in charge and who makes the decisions to actually do these training?
Sure. Well, again, the Emergency Management Agency at each level of government, we perform that role, the leadership and coordination role, on behalf of the Broward County Board of County Commission and the county administrator.
So you're coordinating that. You
Yes.
arrange it all, and then you pull everyone else in.
Correct.
And with FEMA too, do you pull them in, or does it start on a federal level as well?
We do a lot of the planning and pre-disaster coordination with both the state and our federal agencies. In fact, it's not just FEMA, but we work with the Department of Transportation and other federal agencies if we needed to. So again, we have a lot of pre-preparation in terms of developing new plans, updating plans. Each level of government has what's called an emergency operations plan, which governs the way we respond countywide for an emergency. And the state also has, it's called the Comprehensive Emergency Management Plan. And in there, it delineates the roles of each critical agency during an emergency response and how we would recover or build back if we had another Hurricane Andrew, for example, strike South Florida. Let's hope we don't see that. But we haven't experienced a major landfalling hurricane. That's one of our major hazards, of course, here in South Florida in, we're going on 11 years. So we want to continue pushing the preparedness message. We don't want the public to get, our residents to get complacent. And we have a lot of tourists, of course, in South Florida, so we want to make sure they're informed. And there's various ways that we do that through our website. Even on iPhones now, there's a capability for the public to receive wireless emergency alerts. So it's important that you have that activated on your device.
Right. So that actually is a good question. I mean, you're sitting at home and you hear a hurricane's coming. Like, what is your first step? Who do you call? Who do you expect to hear from? Is that
one of
your
our major
office?
responsibilities is to ensure the county's emergency operations center is functioning at all times for any type of emergency. It could be an airplane crash. Right now we're dealing with some public health issues in terms of, we had Ebola, which was a concern last year throughout the United States, and now we're seeing the mosquito problem of Zika.
Has that been here?
Yes, actually Broward County was included in the governor's public health emergency declaration as one county that has cases of, and these are all travel-related cases of Zika, the Zika virus, as well as Miami-Dade County, and there's about 4 other counties throughout the state. So we're planning and coordinating with our Florida Department of Health in Broward County. We work closely with the Department of Health and through the state. So it's not just natural hazards, technological hazards, but we have to think about some public health issues that may arise and impact the public.
What are you finding most? I mean, out of all those, what do you see the most? What keeps you busy?
Well, I think we're continually planning and training and exercise, and our biggest concern, of course, right now is the fact that we haven't seen a landfall hurricane, but with a lot of the El Nino weather patterns, we have concern of sea level rise impacting South Florida along the coastal communities, so we're working closely to ensure we become more resilient to those types of events. At the same time, we're seeing the continued threat of terrorism, not just here within the country, but internationally. So we work closely again with law enforcement, our rescue agencies, so that we're informed of any potential threat to Broward County, or for that matter, all of South Florida. And in the event we do get word, it could be through the Department of Homeland Security as well, or the FBI, through the U.S. Department of Justice, then we start planning and coordinating. We may activate the County Emergency Operations Center and bring in those agencies to start that initial coordination and planning of any imminent event. During an actual natural disaster, we would activate based on approval from county administration and the mayor of Broward County. And our facility is located in Plantation, so if we had to bring in all those agencies again, we would coordinate our response from that facility, just as Miami-Dade and every county in Florida does. They have their own facilities as well.
So do you work with all, I mean, I know the ports, is it the Port Authority? Is that who governs the ports?
Well, that's a good point. We work closely with Port Everglades officials as well. In the event of any incident at the port, could be a terrorist-related incident. Let's hope
Have
that
y'all
never
had
happens,
any
but,
of those? Or
we've
even
had
scares, or is it more
some
of a-
accidents, mostly at the port. Fortunately, we haven't had a major terrorism event in South Florida, but we have to continue planning and preparing for the worst. That's our responsibility in terms of public safety, to ensure the public is safe at all times and they're able to respond and empower the public to ensure they have a plan,
Right.
whether or not they're going to evacuate out of the area if we institute a mandatory evacuation.
Wait,
And-
I'm curious about that too. How do they decide when they're going to do a mandatory evacuation?
For a hurricane, a lot of the residents in South Florida have seen that in the past. Hurricane Wilma in 2005 was probably the last time we saw some of that. So the mayor would issue a mandatory evacuation order. We have 2 evacuation zones, and we primarily evacuate because of storm surge, the storm surge threat, water.
Right.
A lot of people think it's wind.
Yeah.
And that's, that could cause damage too, but we've seen the damage that water can cause
Yeah.
with Hurricane Sandy in the Northeast and Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans. So once we recommend to the mayor and the county administrator that we're under hurricane watch or warning, then they make the decision and we put that out to the public from that Emergency Operations Center facility.
Oh,
We
yeah.
have 2 evacuation zones. I was explaining to you and the public. It's important they understand
Right.
whether or not they live in an evacuation zone. We call it Plan A and Plan B. We like to keep it simple. So if we have a Category 1 or 2 hurricane, we may request or issue a mandatory evacuation order from any resident or business east of the Intracoastal Waterway, or A1A. And if for categories 3 or higher, 3 to 5 hurricane, we would request all those residents potentially and businesses east of Federal Highway or US 1. So those are our two evacuation zone. Everything's on our website at www.broward.org/emergency. We do have
Oh, go ahead. Well, just real quick, how do you help the vulnerable population with
Yes, they're a very important
special needs
concern
and-
of ours. We do have a special needs registry where we would like any person that has a special need during an emergency and that would need to evacuate, that they sign up on the registry, and that's located on our website again,
Okay.
as well at broward.org/hurricane or /emergency.
Well, we only have about 30 seconds,
Sure.
but I know you have a bag with, can you just tell real quick what's in the bag to
Yeah,
help
we like
people
to
prepare?
Of course, the American Red Cross has one of the best sample hurricane kits. We talked about families developing an emergency plan.
Right, and their own family, yeah.
They're able to communicate and know where they're going to evacuate, but it's also important to assemble an emergency kit. This one comes prepared. You can look on the American Red Cross website if you want to order one. They have flashlights, all kinds of things, a blanket, whistles, water, a first aid kit, or you can assemble your own. Go to Home Depot or Walmart and just assemble the important items that are in the kit. So
And on your website, do you have a list of some of the
yes,
things
we
that they're
have
going to need?
on our website as well is a list of items that are included in an emergency supply kit.
Well, Miguel, okay, you have one busy job. That's a lot of coordinating and a lot of assimilating information and disseminating information. But we really appreciate your being here to
Sure.
share that with us. So we are gonna, if you'll stay with us, I'm Ann Farrell Tata, your host. If you'll stay with us, we will be back with the Jesus Experience Ministries. But in the meantime, I want to thank again Miguel for being
Thank you.
here from Broward County Emergency Services. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Hi, welcome back to this edition of Joy in Our Town. I'm Ann Farrell Tata. I'm delighted to welcome my guest, Damian Orlando Archat, and he's with the Jesus Experience Ministries, and we're going to be talking about some of the serious issues that are facing our community. Welcome
Yes,
to the
ma'am.
program.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you
Ann.
for being here.
I'm honored to be here.
So you deal with a lot of issues, single parenting and
Yes, ma'am.
poverty, and can you talk a little bit about your organization and what you do, and some of the issues that are facing the community?
Yes, ma'am. Well, I'm the senior pastor of Jesus Experience Ministries in the city of Lauderhill. And currently, one of the biggest challenges that we have now is really the disconnect between the church and the community with the context of the community. The community that we face now are, we have single parents. We have to deal with children of single parents. We have to also deal with the poverty average inside of Lauderhill. Currently, right now, the poverty average in my city, in Lauderhill, you have 37% of the people that are above the poverty average. That's saying that everyone else is below the poverty average. When you deal with a context of people of that nature, when you have to deal with the stress of saying that from the 60s till now, the United States we've gotten double of, so now we're at 15 million people or children that are in a single parent household. So when we have to deal with that context, that demographic of people right now in our community, it's really hard. We have to do things. And it's really, we've shifted throughout the years where at one time the church really, and I spoke about the challenges being a disconnect because at one time the church was kind of like the beacon of light where we were relevant to the church, we were family with the community. And now I see that we kind of shifted errors where we went from a family more kind of a village raises a child to we went to an entertainment age where, and that was fine, and Christ went out. But then we shifted, and we need to shift again because now we're at the community has a context of saying, can I trust the church? Because I'm at a place where I need to re-experience church. I need to re-experience that people care about me. I need to re-experience the fact that I'm a single mother, or I'm a single father, I'm a single child, I'm a parent, I'm a child in a single family home. Does someone care about me, or do you just want a number in the church? And we have to face that challenge of making people really re-experience church, re-experience the love of God, but understand that they have a context of single parents. A lot of, when you're dealing with single parenting, a lot of things that need to happen is grief recovery. Grief recovery. I'm dealing with something in my church right now called emotional healthy spirituality. And emotionally healthy spirituality, we're trying to make, you can't grow and be spiritually mature without first becoming mature emotionally. The two coincide. So you're dealing with people who and our community, this is a thing we face every single day, where you have our community of single parents. You have a community of children in single parent households. What do you tell the child that doesn't know how to grieve over the fact that they don't have a father? Because a father is not just there to provide funds for the house, but a father is the first voice that you have to identify who you are. So what do you do with a child that hasn't had anyone to speak into them to say, you are better than your community. You're better than where you are right now. You're brighter than how you're acting. So then us as the church now, we have to connect and become relevant to say, we now do more mentoring projects and now reach out to our community, because it's tremendous of how much the poverty-stricken community and the fact that we have people in single parent households.
Well, you know, you bring up a really good point, because it's sort of two issues. There's the physical needs, like they need, you know, clothes and a roof over their head and food on their table. But then there's also the root of some of the problems, maybe depression or grief, or, you know, so you're how do you, you know, reconcile both of those problems? And do you take one before the other, or work at the same time? I mean, that's complicated. You
really have to. I mean, you have to kind of hit both of them at the same time. It's kind of amazing. Someone doesn't really want to hear what you have to say to their emotions, and it's sad to say.
If they're hungry.
If they're hungry, yes.
Or they're cold.
If I'm cold.
Or hot, maybe in South Florida.
No matter what it is, if the water's not on in my home, if I'm not being fed. No one really wants to hear that I have an emotional issue. No one wants to really hear that sometimes we have to go back to go forward. It sounds like a paradox. It really is, that you have to visit some things in your past to go to your future. But really, we try to make sure people are fed. We try to make sure that people, if they're cold, they're warm. We try to hit that need, because people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care first.
Well, that's true. And that does show them that you care if you're providing for those physical needs.
Yes. So we're at the place now where we really care. We really want to show the love of God completely by Matthew 25, we're kind of making it come alive. Matthew 25, Jesus was speaking. He's like, when I was hungry, you fed me. I mean, so many things. When I was poor, you came. When I was in prison, you visited me. And he's like, Lord, when did I do this? He said, when you did it to the least of them, when you did it for my people, you really did it for me. And that's really what we're trying to do. We're really trying to touch our community because we understand we want to bring people up. But we can't do it without first touching their existential needs, their physical needs. We need to touch them first. So we have to try to feed people food pantries. We have to help. That's when we can shift people to mentoring. You know, we can shift people to emotional health. So those are the things that we're trying to do now because overall we want to help our community completely.
Now, do you work with agencies or homeless shelters, or are there coordinated resources?
We try to we connect with as much people as we can. We're looking for more people right now, but we definitely connect with different agencies. I'm a veteran myself, so I care so much about the veterans. That's
you were in the military.
I was in the military. I was deployed in Iraq. I'm a wounded soldier, so I understand what it is to be wounded in war. I understand what it is to come back and have PTSD. I understand these things. And those are things that we face too. So I connect with the Veterans Affairs. We connect with different agencies. We're looking for more people now because we do something called Christmas in June. And in Christmas in June, we literally make it Christmas. This is all out of our pocket. So then whoever partners with us, we love it. But every single day in the month of June, we make it Christmas for someone.
So presents for
presents, not just presents, but we literally last year, what we did was we went to schools. So we'll go to a school and we'll know that there's a single mother. We'll ask the school, hey, who is behind in their tuition? And we'll pay up their tuition. So we're paying up children's tuition. Then we're presenting the children with toys. So then now the parent it's Christmas for them because we took that weight off of them. We helped the child. We'll say we connected, we partnered with Winn-Dixie. We're going to be partnering with them or Publix. And we'll get a few families and just say shop. And you come back and we're paying for the entire groceries. We went to, and this, some people thought we were completely crazy when we did this. We went to an exotic dancing place. And I called the establishment. Well, I didn't call. My administrator called the establishment, and we said, "Well,
it's a family show."
Yes, and, but they're going to understand. We went and we said, "We want to come and bring roses and cards to say that the Lord loves you. We still care about you," and we did. And they said we came in, we brought them roses, we brought them cards, and say, "Listen, we love you, and so does the Lord. You're better than where you are right now." And we did that in Christmas in June. We were paying light bills, we were paying water bills, we were keeping things discreetly. This year, we were able to give a single mother a car, no payments.
My God.
Paid off a vehicle. We want to do it again this year. So before I can tell you about God, sometimes I want to show you who he really is. I want you to re-experience who Christ is. And that's really what we're trying to do. So with Christmas in June this year, I want it bigger and better. I want to push some of our children to get out of the poverty line. That means I want to help push education. So there's something that I'm planning. I'm trying to partner with some great people that everyone who shows a college ID, if you show a college ID, we're going to fill up your tank of gas.
Oh my goodness.
So we at least want to hit probably about 100 college students, like I said, in Christmas in June. And this is all we do about 3 months or so. From the beginning of the year, we start raising funds so that we're paying out of pocket. We don't, unless someone wants to partner with us, we literally out of the church, because the distrust and the disconnect many times is many people feel that the church has always received what they didn't give out. And now we're at a place where we're showing, listen, this is what we're here for.
That's right. We
want to take care of the flock. We want to take care of God's people. So
are you finding the people that you're helping, is there a higher, speaking of the veterans, is there a higher incidence of seeing veterans that are in need, or is it just, equal to the regular population?
Yeah, well, the disconnect, what I see, the issue that I see with the veterans is mostly the veterans that we deal with is post-traumatic stress. You've got veterans that they're at a place where, like the people, many people, unemployment, it's a huge thing. The issue is we have veterans coming back home and they can't get employment. And it's not that they're not qualified for employment, but their mind, they have to become emotionally healthy to be able to work. What do you tell a veteran? I've been there before. What do you tell a veteran that's not fine with people standing behind them?
Right.
How
or
do you
loud
tell
noises.
loud
Yeah.
noises? So the things that other people celebrate and they're qualified for.
Right.
Yes, we're at a place that we have the great things like the Veterans Affairs and things of that nature. And they're trying to get more veteran things to help our community. But we have to be able to speak to that context of the person. And they're coming from something. They didn't arrive here out of a vacuum. They're coming from war. They've been wounded. They have scars that you can't see.
Right.
So a lot of times we address the things that we can't see. It's like an iceberg.
Yeah.
The Titanic sank because they tried to avoid the thing that they could see. But really the big mass was under the water. And we
That's
have to
right.
really address those things for people.
Well, Damon, you are doing amazing things for this community. And real quick, if somebody wants to get in touch with you, we only have about 15 seconds
Okay.
left, but can you tell how they can reach you and how they can
Yes.
find out more about what you're doing?
Yes, if anyone wants to contact us, please, they can contact us. Our website is myjesusexperience.com. They can email us at jesusexperience@gmail.com, or they can call us 954-590-0356.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
for being here. I'm Ann Farrell Tata. We've been talking to Damian Orlando Archat with the Jesus Experience Ministries. And thank you so much for joining us today. And we will see you next time on Joy in Our Town. Thank you. Okay, that is amazing, the things that you're doing.
This program has been sponsored by the Trinity Broadcasting Network and made possible by your telethon dollars. Your continual support can keep Joy in Our Town brought to your home every day. So write Joy in Our Town, P.O. Box A, Santa Ana, California, 92711.
The views and opinions expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect those of this station or the Trinity Broadcasting Network.